Hey, welcome in. Well, I hate to do this to you during the holiday season, but here's the headline. Officials warn China is creating brain control weaponry. Biden administration responds. Oh, they responded great. What did they do? Give them money for it? Well, that's what they normally do, isn't it, when China's cooking up something horrible? But I have to say, brain control weaponry just doesn't sound great. And do they even need it? Because, they've got media control weaponry, apparently. When's the last time you heard China virus or Wuhan virus? So I guess maybe media control weaponry is kind of the same thing, isn't it? So I know in this picture it looks like they might have been testing out this brain control weaponry on these soldiers. But anyway, the U.S. levied sanctions against numerous Chinese entities this month after it said that the communist nation was using emerging biotechnology to create brain control weaponry and other technology that creates a serious risk to U.S. national security. And I think it's fair to say, by extension, world national security. Anyway, new intelligence shows that China is using technologies like gene editing and brain-machine interfaces to enhance military capabilities and control its own people. Machines that could allow a Chinese commando to discharge a weapon with just a thought, not a trigger finger. And that's from Fox News national security correspondent Jennifer Griffin. Quote, this month, the Biden administration targeted the emerging threat by levying sanctions on 37 Chinese biotechnology companies that have ties to this research that experts say include so-called mind control weapons. Now, if that's it, you can discharge a weapon with just your mind and not a trigger finger, it doesn't sound like it's actually that much more useful, because a trigger finger works pretty good already, doesn't it? And it's a lot cheaper than putting in weird new technologies into every weapon. And also, too, it might be a lot of accidents as well, a lot of friendly fire accidents, I might think. So I'm not sure how much of an advantage this would actually be, but let's keep reading. Anyway, former Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, warned that the U.S. is not going to use the same questionable practices that China is. We're not going to place our own soldiers, sailors, and airmen at risk, which is what the intelligence tells us the Chinese are willing to do. They want to advance at any cost, including those that are harmful to their own population. Yeah, weird experiments on their own soldiers, I don't think that's going to bother them too much. They can probably just slide it right in with their human organ harvesting economy. Quote, the Pentagon says Beijing already uses these technologies, including biometric surveillance tools and facial recognition, to track dissidents and journalists and to suppress the Uyghurs. Yeah, at this rate, before long, people in China will have to prove that they've had a medical procedure before they can... Oh, wait a second. Let's move on. But it gets more chilling, actually, when you start digging into this a little bit more. Here's the headline. Chilling. China discussed bioweapons targeting specific races. Keep in mind, this is a country that has 1 million members of a specific racial group, the Uyghurs, in concentration camps. So it really doesn't feel like much of a stretch. A new report alleges that China discussed how man-made viruses could be weaponized to target certain races. The report comes from David Asher, who led the State Department's investigation of the origins of the coup before Biden shut it down. And to be fair, we all know where it came from by now, don't we? And I'm sure it had nothing to do with his son and the millions of dollars from China and the big guy. And anyway, let's just move on. According to Asher, what China wrote in a declaration to the 7th Review Conference of the Biological Weapons Convention at the United Nations office in Geneva, quote, essentially laid out a roadmap of developments in biotechnology pertinent to the Biological Weapons Convention that the Chinese indicated as particularly salient. It wasn't clear from their declaration whether this was for potential offensive use of synthetic biology and other techniques, but it certainly appears to lay out what they felt was going to be the drivers of a more potent offense in the future decade related to biotechnology. So from the declaration, it wasn't clear whether this was for potential offensive use. Let's just go ahead and assume it is. Can we just go ahead and assume that the Chinese Communist Party is interested in the offensive use of synthetic biology and other techniques? I don't think we're going out on a limb there. Anyway, Asher said, this is probably the most disturbing thing to note, that there could be a type of population targeting or ethnic targeting using biology, according to the Chinese. That doesn't mean they did it in the case of the Koof or anything else, but it definitely implied that they were fully aware that this is feasible and possible. So I don't know, that's kind of scary. It seems like they've already made pretty good progress on the brain control part. At least when it comes to, I don't know, CNN, MSNBC, CBC, the BBC. I mean, they all seem pretty quick to tell us how mean it was to say where the virus came from, like we did with every other virus before then. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Please subscribe, like, and share. That really helps me out. If you just like to listen, there's the podcast versions on pretty much every platform. If you look for it, you will find it. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.